Welcome to Using Google Classroom for Professional Development. Heather Breedlove is a Google Classroom Forum top contributor and a member of the Classroom Experts team. She's also a Google Education trainer, EdTech blogger, technology integration coordinator, and a former tech coach. She currently lives in Flagstaff, Arizona, near the Grand Canyon. She has 3 kids who keep life interesting and can be found binge watching The House of Cards with her husband at home. Her mission is to inspire teachers to use technology to take their teaching to the next level.
Thanks, Fred. Fred's a fellow Classroom Forum top contributor as well, and a member of the Classroom Experts team with me, and we'll be happy to moderate today's session. Thank you all for coming today. If you have a question, you can add it to the chat, and I'll try to answer as we go, or at the end of the session, we'll have time. Also, if we don't get to all the questions, I will be able to answer them in the chat at a later date, and then you can go back and look for those answers. So we are ready to get started today, and I'm going to slide back over to the presentation here. Let's dive right in. Go ahead, Fred. Next slide. Yep. If I die, I hope it's during an in-service, because the transition to death would be so subtle. We've all been there at some point, haven't we? During professional development, we've all wanted, during a faculty meeting or a training, we've all just wanted to slide off our chair and pretty much take a nap. So how does Google Classroom give us a solution to this age-old problem? In today's session, we'll find specific examples on how to reinvent teacher professional development in your district. So let's look at how Classroom offers something different. Flexibility in when they want to learn and how they want to engage for teachers. It allows them to learn and apply their new skills. It provides a collaborative community, and also it meets teachers' learning styles. So today we'll cover 3 things. Google Classroom can transform PD in your district 3 ways. So 1, blended learning opportunities. 2, ideas for administrators. And 3, self-guided learning for teachers. So I'm going to ask you guys a little question about your online learning experiences. So please go to the link in the chat. And I see that we have about a couple viewers here, so I'm hoping you guys click on that link and just take a 1-question survey on how your online learning experiences has been. So go ahead and do that right now. And I'm going to do a screen share and share the results here in just a minute. And I just want to see what our audience does. So go ahead and click that link in the chat. Fred, I can't see the chat, so.
Yeah, I posted it on the event page in the discussion.
Okay, gotcha. So you can go to the event, or you can just type it in, tinyurl.com/edu on air survey, and go ahead and just take that one question. And are people able to see that at all? Let's see, we can kind of get started with that. All right, I got a couple of responses here, so we'll go ahead and wait just a little bit more. And go ahead, let me start my screen share while you guys are doing that. And here we go. So we got a couple of responses, and they're coming in a little bit, so we might check back later. But you can see that we have done some online learning this year. And online learning, online courses, I mean, maybe not even college classes, right? So it could be webinars like we're doing now. So everyone's kind of done that if you've attended any sessions earlier today. It could be webinars. It could be just different types of training where you've done something online. So let me see if I can refresh this here. And yep, we got some more responses. Great. So more than 10. So in the past year, so 7.7%. So you can see a majority of us, we've done a few per year. So that is great news to hear. But what I'd like to see more of, and I'm going to go ahead and stop this slide here, stop presenting, and I'm going to hand it back over to Fred. Next slide, Fred. So in 2012, a survey of online learning, the number of students taking at least one online course has surpassed 6.7 million. So even though our numbers are, I was surprised at our numbers of how many teachers have done online learning. Of course, you guys are all on this webinar with me, so I know you're kind of into that thing already. But I'm talking about, let's think about district-wide or statewide. What are majority of the teachers doing? Are they going online to learn new things? So if teachers are participating in online courses, why aren't we offering teachers more opportunities for blended or online learning for their own professional development? Many teachers I know just do online learning on their own. You guys might have signed up for this because you saw a link somewhere. Not that the district was saying, hey, this is a great learning opportunity for our teachers, and they put it together. So how can Google Classroom is going to help answer that question? So using Google Classroom, I created a blended learning opportunity for teachers. The goal was for teachers to learn Classroom while they're using Classroom. So learning right on the job, that job embedded training. And how I did that was, one, I met face-to-face with them for an hour and a half. And since this was our first time logging into Google Classroom, they chose the teacher role. So it's very important that when a teacher first logs into Google Classroom, they choose the teacher role. Because if they don't, they won't get full teacher privileges. So by choosing teacher, it allows them to create classes later, which is pretty important. And after they did that with me, they joined as a student, they entered the code that I had for the class, and they joined my class as a student. So once they logged in, they can see Classroom from the student perspective and see it on the projector from the teacher perspective. And that's what I was projecting. So they watched me make an announcement, and then they participated by commenting in the stream. So on the screenshot, you could see that's where that was happening. That was my first announcement. I gave them a little video to watch, and they could comment on what they were about to learn. They also saw me create an assignment where on their end, though, they had to actually complete it and turn it in as a student. So the process of being together in person at first helps them to see how Classroom works as a teacher and as a student. And then after that, they were able to create an assignment on their own, add resources to their About page, and basically be ready to go to use it with their own students as they left. However, what I love about Classroom is the training isn't over. The teachers that were in my class had assignments to complete after we initially met. So next slide, Fred, please. What I love about Google, it was motivating for them for what they learned, because they were using what they learned in the training directly into their classroom. One assignment was that they had to grade a student assignment, download the CSV, the grade file sheet, it's an Excel sheet, from Classroom, and then I created a Google Doc in there, and they had to attach that file sheet to that. And the reason I did that for a couple of reasons. One, I made sure they were grading and kind of using Google Classroom with their students. Two, I showed them by having them do it is that they could attach different file types to another assignment. And I did that through videos. I actually posted those videos with the assignment and said, watch these videos and do this on your own. And then let me know if you need help. The other assignment I gave them was a reflection sheet. And you can see that in the screenshot here. Oh, no, this was a different kind of thing. But the reflection sheet was basically them reflecting on how they use Classroom with their students and just the blended learning experience overall, because it was their first time with that. And so I got some great feedback from that. So here also on the screenshot, I made an announcement, and about once a week, I would make a weekly discussion question where just kind of checking in or asking them a certain point what they were doing, what they needed help with. And at this point, I can support them through the stream or private comments. And then also, if they needed it more, they could contact me and I would make house calls. You know, I would go out to their classroom and help them out. So I also, this question has to do with like, what are your successes and struggles? So not only that, they were sharing with the group and learning from each other. So Google Classroom will change the way teachers view professional development. So don't just take it from me though. Let's look at these teachers and what they had to say. So the first teacher enjoyed learning and applying the knowledge. Just directly, I learn it and then I apply it. And then also Google Classroom allowed her to learn by doing. So she was active with it. The second teacher really enjoyed the fact that Google Classroom provided that accountability she needed to actually use the tool. So I was talking about earlier, in teacher professional development, a lot of times we'll learn it and lose it as soon as we leave the class at the training, right? We just get busy. So this actually was kind of like, more Google Classroom in your face. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. And so that really helped her to use it and reflect. And she actually liked the fact that we offered some other trainings that went along with Google Classroom, kind of a level 2. So she enjoyed that fact. However, not all teachers enjoyed this type of learning. I did get some feedback from teachers that felt like face-to-face was where training should be, and that they really struggled with learning some of it on their own, even though I gave them videos and things like that. Maybe that this wasn't their learning style, and that's okay. So my advice is take your teachers where they're at and just meet them where they're at and take them on to the next level. So if they're not ready for blended learning, that's okay. But I think it's important that we offer a variety of professional development. Just because some teachers aren't ready for it doesn't mean you shouldn't have it as an offering, because they don't know what they're missing if they don't at least try it. So I was appreciating the teachers that were trying it at least. So the next thing is I was a tech coach. I was a tech coach for a couple years, and I was one person for an entire district. I was supporting 1,000 teachers with technology integration. And so you can imagine how frustrating that was to me, because I like to be effective and I like to really make a difference in my job. We all do. That's why we're teachers. So I was thinking, how can I basically stretch myself and help these teachers out? And what I did was I created basically a team of teachers I worked with, try to get one from every school that I worked at, and I would work with them more one-on-one, and they in turn would help train their other teachers. So it was train the trainer kind of model. And so that's how I was stretching myself. And one of the ways I did that was I used Google Classroom to meet in person. Because we were all over the district, some people it took half an hour to get to the district office or where we were meeting at. And so that was just, I was like, why are we eating this much time traveling when we could be talking? So I set up a Google Hangout, and as you can see from the screenshot here, I'm actually not even I wasn't even in my office. I was actually at the district office. I just happened to be there, so I was doing my meeting there. I have one teacher driving in a car. She was not driving though, she was a passenger. I had 2 teachers in a classroom, and then I had one already at home. And so it really provided the flexibility we needed to continue our learning and maximize our time, which is really important, especially with teachers too. Who wants to meet for 2 hours after school? But if we can meet for an hour because we could do Google Hangout, that was great. So many people, I know you guys are coaches, specialists, coordinators, administrators, and you oversee many teachers or an entire district like I did. So Google Classroom can maximize your time and effectiveness by supporting your teachers with this. It continues the conversation and the support. So next year, I'm going to use Google Classroom to provide that support to tech coaches I'm working with in between the times we meet face-to-face. So I'm really a big fan of the blended approach, because I do feel teachers like to meet face-to-face. We need that. But we also need to continue the learning, and we're busy people. So that Google Classroom, that's where Google Classroom fits in. So instead of just using Google Hangout with my coaches, now I can have a Google Hangout link, put it on the About page, and it could be a permanent link where they can go to me and we can meet virtually in person, as well as use Google Classroom for collaboration and communication for other things. So just talking about that, a recent feature was just added for Classroom that adds the ability to add a co-teacher to a class. So what this does is opens up even more possibilities for professional development. For example, when I use Google Classroom with my teachers, the coaches next year, I'm going to add a co-teacher. So the 2 of us are going to facilitate the class. So we're going to use it for communication. We're going to collaborate. We're going to keep the coaches accountable, because the coaches are going to be working with their collaborating teachers throughout the year. And we're actually going to use Google Classroom to showcase the projects that they're going to do. Our focus next year is project-based learning. So their 2 artifacts of learning. They're going to submit it through Google Classroom, and we're going to share out that way so everyone can see each other's projects, even though, again, we're spread out throughout the district. So Google Classroom can really bring a district together and really let teachers see what other teachers are doing. So administrators can be added to a Google Classroom as well. If they're added as co-teacher, they're able to see what the teacher sees and have all the same privileges. So as you can see right here on my screenshot, to inspire, that's me, and I'm co-teaching with Batman. I mean, who doesn't want to co-teach with Batman? So I just wanted to give you an idea of how it looks with a co-teacher, because that is like a brand new feature right now. So that's how it looks. And the only thing a co-teacher can't do is delete the class, but they have all the rest of the capabilities. So with administrators, they can use it for a couple different things. So you can use it to just see what the teachers are doing, just as an observation tool. You can see it as a monitoring tool, because maybe Google Classroom or blended learning is an initiative at your district and you need to check in with your teachers and make sure they are using the tools. The other thing I thought would be fun is if administrators can join in with the students sometimes within the comments or different things that they're doing. So then that way the students, you get to engage with the students in a totally different way. And I bet the students would love that. Imagine though, if an administrator and worked with another teacher to create a classroom together and then use that classroom as professional development for teachers. So not only are you building teacher leadership at the school, but teachers can learn from another teacher, because many times professional development is just given by, the administrator, the coach, and it's just refreshing, and teachers can they just love to learn from their peers. So that can be a really strong experience for teachers. So administrators, busy people, right? So let's think about teacher observations. How can we use Google Classroom for teacher observations? So one, teachers can join the administrator's class. All the teachers can join the one class. Administrator would create a reflection sheet, and the teacher can then just log into the classroom, access the reflection, and write everything down. They would have time to think about it. But then when they meet, the teacher's already thought about it, the principal's already thought about it, and so now you're kind of saving time with that piece, but you can really deepen the conversation when you do meet. So it's kind of like flipping teacher observations, like flipping the classroom. The other bonuses for an administrator doing this is, one, all the documents are in one place, and it can be ongoing throughout the year, because usually there's several types of observations, formal and informal. Also, an admin can add a link to a shared Google Calendar. So if you see in my screenshot right here at the bottom, it says link, and that's actually a link to a shared calendar. So the teacher would click on that and actually be able to make appointments with the administrator for their observation or their talking time. And so, but taking the teacher observations a step further. So an admin can assign their teachers a walkthrough reflection. Now the teachers can videotape a lesson. This idea came from Fred, by the way, where his teachers are just kind of learning about videotaping themselves. And, some of them are it's kind of hard videotaping yourself and then watching it, right? And so the great thing about this is they can videotape it, watch it later, and fill out the reflection sheet, and they can stop there. But an administrator can say, I want you to fill out the reflection, I want you to videotape yourself. The teacher can then videotape themselves, upload, and attach the video all through the Google Classroom mobile app. So it's all right there. And then the teacher can also snap some shots of classroom work and attach that as well to the one walkthrough reflection assignment. Now, I'm not about, administrators getting out of the classroom, because I think it's very important for administrators to be in the classroom doing the walkthroughs in person. But the videotaping is actually for the teacher. So they can reflect on their teaching practices, have time to process that. Because when you're teaching the lesson, you don't see it. So I know when I was meeting with my principal, we were talking about my lesson and some of the things they were bringing up. I'm like, I have no idea I do that, So it's nice that the teacher would know that in advance, be able to reflect on that. And then when they do meet, think about how powerful that conversation can be about moving the teaching practices forward. And the administrator doesn't even have to view the video at all. It could just be for the teacher. Or since it's attached to the assignment, they can both just watch certain pieces of the video to help support that conversation. So what are you going to do with your staff if they're not completely ready for Google Apps Suite? Okay, don't let that stop you from using Google Classroom. Remember, Google Classroom supports all different file types for uploading files. You just use the paperclip in either the assignment or the announcements to attach files. You can also, so if you look at my screenshot right here, you can see Toontastic Story Planner. I got a PDF. I have an Excel sheet, a Word doc, a PowerPoint, and I have an audio file. I just uploaded all of them. Now, the students can click on those. They can view them. Or in one case, it makes them a copy of that so they can have that as their own copy. They can also view them or listen to them if it's an audio. And you can also link YouTube videos, other websites, and images. And you can see that in my other screenshots that I've showed. And in this case, the magic in the back end, basically, when you upload it with a paperclip, it's actually putting it into your Google Drive and just making that file viewable. So that's the magic that happens behind the scenes. But it's great. So you can use Classroom as the shell and then really do all kinds of different file types that you need. Earlier in the year, I posted a meme of someone opening up a door to a wall of snow. So although we don't get that much snow in Flagstaff, Arizona, it's fun to share funny memes or videos with teachers as well. So you can just upload all sorts of different things. So at the end of my Google Classroom experience with teachers, I uploaded Will Ferrell, and he's in the elf costume, and he's like, congratulations, you did it. So it was really just kind of fun. And so we have a little bit of fun too. It's not just academic and serious all the time. So the last thing that can reinvent professional development is to create self-guided courses for teachers. So another educator I work with, she was setting up a meeting with her teachers. They were completing an inquiry-based pilot project. So she was having them test out a section of this online learning program and wanted to get their feedback. Well, when Classroom was enabled for the district, she's like, wait a minute. What I'm going to have them do in person, they can do in Classroom. So not only it saved her time after school, but it had our teachers use a new tech tool in a real way. So, and here it goes back to what I said earlier. Teachers don't even need to know how to use Classroom to use it. It's simple. So these teachers hadn't used Classroom before. They hadn't had that experience. It was brand new, just came out for our district. And so she gave them instructions on how to log in. And they were able to log in and participate with discussions. They completed assignments like they watched a video and answered questions, and they loved it. They loved it because they spent time in Classroom on their own time, either in the comfort of their own classroom or on the comfort from their couch, which is what goes back to my title slide of classroom plus couch equals PD, right? It can happen anywhere. So Google Classroom was the perfect tool for that, modeling the use of technology without having it be a focus. And it also gave those quiet teachers, the ones that don't usually talk during a faculty meeting or a training, it gave them time to actually express their thoughts and feelings about a certain thing. Also, there is another new feature for Google Classroom where you can schedule posts in advance. So if you want to create a self-guided course for teachers, so before, Heather had to dump it all in all at once and then give teachers just some more instructions. So this way, you can assign it to just release at certain times, those posts and those announcements, making it easier for a self-guided course for the creation of it. So possibilities. Imagine all the possibilities you now have with Google Classroom to reinvent and innovate teacher professional development. I have a teacher using Google Classroom to communicate with her basketball team. Just a communication tool, and you know it's always, you got papers handing out, people lose papers, and so now it's a paperless sports team collaboration tool. I have another teacher using it with her AP Bio class. She's going to continue the learning in the summer, so they're ready for the school year. They just get started. So I've heard of other school districts already. They're creating self-guided courses, and now there's more features to support that for their teachers to learn. And I've already talked about, I've used it with tech coaching, but why not use Google Classroom for personal learning communities? Or if you don't call them that, what about collaborative teams? And continue the conversation with sharing resources and different things that you guys need to continue the learning. So that way you don't always have to be in person. Again, you can meet online virtually, with Google Hangout or Google Classroom. And then also, how about just giving teachers a choice in what they want to learn? What if you had teachers that were experts in something? So next year, some of my plans are to have my own teachers create Google Classrooms for how to use Google Classroom, or maybe other web tools or apps that they want to learn. And they're going to facilitate it either in a blended way or a self-guided way in Google Classroom. So let's build up our teacher leaders. But then also let's let our teachers choose what they want to learn about and join as their professional development. Let's give them the choice. So Google Classroom is almost a year old. The team continues to release new features based on user feedback from you guys. That's why if you are in the Google forum asking for help, we say give feedback, because that's how they track the new features that they need to add to make it a better experience for you guys. So here's some new features I thought were helpful for creating learning opportunities for teachers. So one, we have draft assignments and posts. We've kind of talked about that already, how it makes it great for self-guided courses that you can kind of guide them along. Or even as a teacher, you can schedule out assignments ahead of time, but students are confused and seeing everything at once. So you can control the flow of announcements and assignments now. So archive your finished classes. So as we're rounding the end of the year right now. And so instructions are going to be coming out from the Google experts team about what to do at the end of the year. But really, you can archive your class. And what I do is I archive everything I teach. And that way I can go back, copy and paste what I need, tweak what I need to. So it's working smarter, not harder. Also, you can customize your theme. This seems kind of like a fun thing, but it's also very important as students or teachers, because teachers can be students, or they can, and the top part is their teaching classes, and then their second part on the home screen is their enrolled classes, what they're enrolled in. It's very nice to have different headers and colors to the class so they can keep organized. So not only your teachers and your students as they get more and more use of Classroom. Also, the plus mentions help keep people to keep track of their conversations that they're mentioned in the stream. Mark assignments as done. This is for assignments that you're not assigning a Google Doc for them to do, or you just want them to watch a video and mark it as done so you know they're done. And then you can continue the conversation in the stream. So that's a very important feature that helps with those kind of courses. So Google Classroom continues to evolve and innovate. Start using Google Classroom with your teachers, and you'll be innovating teacher professional development as well. So you can reach me in a couple different ways. We're rounding out our time right now. It's close to 10:30. I'd love for you to fill out a quick survey. This allows me to retain my Google Education trainer status. I don't sell emails or do anything like that. I do need to collect emails because that's what Google wants. So I appreciate you guys for completing it. I know today was a little short, and I like to do more hands-on stuff, but you guys are all around the world, so it's a great experience for all of us to still learn from each other, even though we're not attending a face-to-face training. So also, if you need any help with Google Classroom, don't forget to visit the Google for Education Help Forum where you see me, Fred, and the rest of the team answering questions. And Fred, are you going to add that into the chat?
And that's already done.
All right, thanks, Fred. And do you guys have any questions for me? Anything that you're wondering? I know we got some viewers out there.
Yes, we have a question from Barb Cotter. Should the video of the lessons be done by the teacher or the administrator? If I want to see a lesson, I'd like to see it done authentically and not just for viewing. So should the teachers be given advance notice or surprise walk-in for authentic reflection?
Well, I think I was trying to design it where I know in some districts the teacher sets up a camera in the back and they decide what lesson they want to tape and reflect on. So I think what you're talking about is maybe you want to do a more surprise type of walkthrough. And I don't know if that would work with the video unless you took the video and uploaded it to Classroom and then you could talk about it later. So if you wanted to make it more of like a surprise thing, then I would take the video as you walk in and just different parts of the lesson and upload that to Classroom. And that way it's all there for you guys to converse about later. Let me know if that didn't answer your question, though. I can elaborate. Any other questions? So,
wait. Yep, just came through.
Yay, question.
Matthew is asking, awesome. Are the Google YouTube tutorials worth using to train staff that can't meet directly with you? Almost like self-guided lessons?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to just answer from my personal experience. I think you have to know your staff. Because I know with my teachers, if I've worked with a couple different districts, if I just say, oh, go to this, and Google's got some great videos. I mean, we have a whole section on that. But teachers aren't going to just naturally go to there. I found teachers don't just naturally go to there and watch those videos. They want that, most of the time they want that help. So if you're going to use those, I would use those in tandem with Google Classroom, and maybe with some face-to-face if you can. Watch this video, learn this. The other thing too, sometimes I find some of those videos are too much for my teachers at once. So I do end up doing a lot of videos myself or screenshot tutorials because I know what they need. But if the video fits the bill, then I'm going to use that. So more than likely, though, I create my own kind of videos and resources to fit their needs. And then I would use that with Google Classroom, especially with the self-guided class, because you're not providing that additional in-person support. So that way they're going to connect with that information more, especially if they hear your voice too. So thanks for the question. Great question. Any more?
And that looks like it's it.
All right, well, our time for the session is over. Be sure to click on session materials in the schedule to get this presentation and other goodies I've kind of set up for you guys. I also did a blog post, and I've got some resources you guys can kind of, if you want to just do a test pilot with your teachers, I kind of walk through how I did that and what I used for them. And of course, that stuff is always changing as I grow more in how to use Google Classroom for professional development. So you can also go to tech2inspire.com/Google EDU on air. So thank you for coming. I want to thank Fred for moderating. Really appreciate you being here with me. And guys, if you need help, we'll be there in the Google Help Forum helping you out. Thank you.